is to actually take care of anybody who either registered promptly right before the meeting to join in and has not received a ballot, and also anybody who didn't receive it via email, whether it went to your spam or didn't receive it at all. So the way we're going to do this is actually by having you, by posting the chat, type your name, your email address, and that you didn't receive a ballot or you didn't the meeting, like you just registered now as you were joining in. And we'll take care of those. We have Bob here in the office. He's our treasurer. He is verifying membership status. And then Catalina and Deb are running the election on Election Runner. And after he verifies someone as a member through communication with them, we will push a link out to you. And given that it's on Zoom, we'll be able to address any issues basically as they come up. You know, this is about as easy as it gets in terms of virtual meetings. I'm accepting this is being live streamed. So we'll have a video recording of it. That's great. So go ahead and jump into the chat for those of you that haven't received ballots. And then as far as those goes, Catalina, when they come up, if you'll check email addresses, if they were supposed to go to them, and if they were, we may need to change the email to a different one that you would provide.
Yeah, I want to make sure that Bob is.
And again, just as a general note, the election is actually running until 8 o'clock, which is pretty much the duration of the meeting. So we will announce the results at 8 o'clock, and we're going to be continuing with our business in the meantime while the election runs. And then the election, basically the nominees announcing themselves is going to occur next up now. But I'm going to wait till people get their information into the chat before we start with that, just so they're not preoccupied with typing and such.
Bob, can you confirm that those that enter their information?
As far as the election goes, tonight we have 6 individuals who are running. We have 5 open seats. 3 seats are at their term conclusions and 2 are vacant. As far as the election goes, those with the top votes fill the 3 seats with term conclusions tonight. And then the vacancies are then given to the individuals down, basically in down count votes, basically. The shortest term going to the person with the least amount of votes. And of course, one person tonight will be excluded from a board seat. Bob, Deb, Catalina, are there any other general election pieces of information we'd like to share before we move into the nominees?
Yes, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Neil, can you hear us?
I can hear you.
Yeah, you can be heard.
Maybe Neil is not hearing
Catalina,
us.
Deb, you good?
Yeah, no, hold on.
Wait.
And you can't hear.
I can't hear you, Catalina. Sorry.
Yes, hold on.
No, we can hear you.
Catalina, we hear you. It's on Neil's
Okay.
issue.
Okay, let me just
She's
say,
typing.
Neil, you can't.
Oh,
Okay, so I just want to make sure that Bob is looking at the chat and checking, verifying the voters. Bob, can I go ahead and start sending ballots?
Yes, everybody there is on our
Membership?
membership list. Let me just give me another minute. Let me just check one here.
Yeah, take your time.
yeah, I had my computer muted, and that's the great thing about a 5-minute monologue is it doesn't matter. You can't tell until people start talking. All right. Catalina, Deb, Bob, are we good to move to the nominees? All right, understood. So in the order we presented them at the last meeting was alphabetical by last name. Per the bylaws, the nominees for board positions are allowed 3 minutes to make their statements to the membership. Again, this is for the election today. So if you have not voted yet, please consider listening to their statements. First up, we have Elizabeth R. Moore.
Yeah, good evening. This is Elizabeth Armour. I'm part of the candidates that are running for on a change slate, basically looking at the way that the Civic has been operating in the past. We'd like to move more into the area of what's called best practices. Those of you who have known me and have worked with me over the years know that I feel very passionately about where I live, particularly the quality of life issues that we encounter every day. And I believe very strongly that the Civic should be a forum, can be a forum, should be a forum for a very high engagement for the residents and its members. Openness, transparency, communication with the membership are things that should be paramount. I know that the Civic can only be as good as the people that come on board and who are actively engaged. So I would encourage all of you to find a passion and become involved with the Civic and working toward making the community a better place. And I truly believe that together we can do that. Thank you.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Up next, we have Jonathan Bro.
Hi, give me 1 second. There's a big loud group of traffic, which I think just left my house. All right, thank you. My name is Jonathan Bro. I'm a current board member seeking re-election. I've been on the board since 2011. I actually originally wrote 2009. That was my son was born. I remember that I joined the board 2 years after he was born, because I actually carried him to the election. I remember that pretty fondly. And I've been served as president since 2014 to 2016, and I've served as a zoning chair since 2013, a job which I take very seriously and something that I'm very proud of for the way that the zoning committee for WashWest is highly respected in the community and the city at large, for being very fair, being very well informed, and for the way that we approach things, that we always try to find common ground between the applicant and the neighbors. There's a current project right now, which many of you are aware of, and we're working over on Addison Walk and Camac Street, where we're working closely with the neighbors and the applicant to try to hopefully find something that is mutually beneficial to all parties. And that's the way which I really think that the Civic should work, is something that both represents the community, wants to bring in new people to the community, and have those two groups work together. The past few months, obviously with COVID, we've been having these meetings via Zoom, and one of the benefits is that there's been a lot more engagement on Zoom. One of its few good parts is that you can now bring people very easily together to these meetings, and I think it's drawn a great renewed interest in the Civic Association, something that I'm very excited about. WashWest Night Out is coming back, Cleanup Day is coming back, and this is the first time we've actually had a contested election in several years, which actually shows the great interest that now exists in the Civic Association. And I'm very thankful for the time that I've spent on the board, and hope that my experience can further serve the board as we enter this next chapter of engagement. Thank you.
Thank you, Jonathan. Up next, we have Patrick Koo.
Good evening. My name is Patrick Quay. I've been a resident of WashWest for about 20 years, and I decided to propose my candidacy to give back to the community, because I'm also, like all of the candidates, very passionate about the neighborhood and historic preservation. And if elected, we'll make sure that we become an historic district, and I think it's extremely important to preserve the fabric of the neighborhood. I mean, we are very diverse and vibrant neighborhood, but we also need to make sure to preserve it. And I guess I'm going to keep it brief, and I also believe that change is good, and seeing new people involved like me and maybe other candidates, it's good for the neighborhood in general. Thank you.
Thank you, Patrick. Next, we have Sukrit Goswami.
Good evening, all. My name is Sukrit Goswami, and I have been a resident of WashWest for about 6 years now, and I have been on this board for almost 5 years. And I would like to continue my work on this board, which we started 5 years ago. I still strive for transparency and consistency on this board. These are two things which are very important to me. And my work is I have chaired the greening committee for a year, and now I've been part of greening committee for like last 3 years. My most recent contribution to this board and to our community is working on our historic preservation group, which the committee and the group and the board has worked very hard on, and also our multiple community members who have been part of this group. And we want to move forward, and we want to see what our community wants, so we can take a decision which is favorable to all our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Sukrit. Up next, we have Katie Dillon Lowe.
Hi, I'm Katie Lowe. On the ballot, my last name Lowe is spelled with an E. It's actually just L-O-W. Doesn't matter, sounds the same. I've lived in WashWest for 10 years. And I think I'd like to be on the board to represent parts of WashWest that maybe don't always get represented or included. I'm a renter, I'm a millennial. I lived in WashWest for 6 years before I actually knew this civic association existed. And I think it's probably because I'm just a renter. I think the civic could benefit a lot from doing some work reaching out to renters. There are a lot of homeowners in the neighborhood, but the district does go all the way to Chestnut Street, and there's a lot of housing that is not owned but rented. I'm a really DIY person. I'm a grassroots organizer. I can say that I led a group of neighbors trying to save the section of Jewelers Row, which has since been demolished for a project and remains a pit in the ground at this time. I think I learned a lot about how the city works and how the city malfunctions when we were doing that. You know, I met with council people, I met with neighbors. You know, great thing about living in the city is I love knowing my neighbors. I love running into people on the street that I know, that we have something in common with. So I think I'm a people person. I'm a problem solver. I've been involved with the preservation working group. So I think that architecture is more than just a pretty building. There's a story that goes with every building, and preserving the architecture preserves the stories and the histories, like at every level. You know, we had history here in 1960, we had history in 1920, we had history over here in 1820. So it all deserves a chance to be saved. So that's me. Thank you.
Thank you, Katie. Up next, we have Joe Papalardo.
Hi, everyone. Thanks. Thanks for taking the time tonight. And it's a pleasure to be here. And I've met many of you and look forward to meeting others. Joe Papalardo, we moved to Philadelphia to the neighborhood about 2.5 years ago. My wife was accepted into residency down here at HUP. And when we toured around Philadelphia, we saw lots of homes and just fell in love with this neighborhood. Just such unique, all the things everyone's talking about, just such a unique charm, history, warmth, diversity. I think we found an incredibly welcoming neighborhood, thanks to so many of you. And this is home. This is our roots. We've found home and are very excited as a family. We have 2 little girls, just think, what a wonderful place to raise a family. And I think as I've thought about my candidacy for a board position here. What's got me excited is just the opportunity to have a voice and help this community preserve its strengths along the lines that I think most everyone has been talking about tonight. I think preserving the rich history of the neighborhood and community, and preserving a lot of what I think has such broad appeal to people of lots of different backgrounds. I think for us, just the family draw, wonderful playgrounds, it's clean, it's warm, in the social sense, and the things that have made it so easy for us to acclimate here, I think are what get me really excited about how this community can continue to evolve and while also preserving so many wonderful existing unique attributes. My background professionally, I'm a technology investor and invest. We're a growth, and I work for a growth-oriented firm that invests in businesses that are typically founder-owned, and we try to help them grow faster. And sort of through that role of have and serve on about 7 or 8 boards, and so have that governance experience in a professional sense. And I think very much value healthy debate. Rallying to a decision, but making sure everyone's voice is heard and hashing stuff out. And I think debate can be a wonderful thing in the right setting with grounded in respectful exchanges. And I think helping to participate in that environment and further that environment for this board and this forum is a very exciting thing to me. I have nothing else, but just to say thanks to everyone for participating in this, and look forward again to getting to know many of you in the months and years ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe, and thanks to all the nominees tonight for giving your statements and your interest in joining our board. For everyone watching who hasn't voted, please feel free to continue deliberating in your own mind. You have until 8 p.m. to cast your vote. Given the nature of the online voting, we wanted to give a window to complete that would allow for making sure everybody received their ballots and getting them back in a timely fashion. So again, we'll be announcing the results of that vote at 8 or a couple minutes after as we conclude that, and we'll be sharing that on screen. So as far as individuals, I'm going to bring it back to us, making sure everybody in the meeting tonight has received their ballot. Catalina, Bob, do you want to give an update right now where we stand with that? And then I don't see chats coming in necessarily right now.
Yeah, so I am putting on the chat, there are a couple people that submitted their names and emails. Leanne, you should have it. Wendy, you should have it. Thomas Kastner should have it. Cody. So please, and Cody as well. We received an email from him. So they were all included. They just need to check their email addresses.
Okay, great.
Joseph, you should also have a ballot already on your email. If you're having any issues, please let us know. But otherwise, please check your email and please check your junk mail just in case it landed there. Thank you.
And Catalina, I think we should tell people that with this system, we can see who voted, but we can't see how you voted. So it only allows one vote per email, so that we know the voting is correct. Everybody's been registered against their. Everybody who's received the ballot has been checked against their dues and our membership records. If there were a few people that were partners, and we didn't have both names, but we've clarified that. Mm-hmm. So we've done everything we can to make sure it's one vote, one person, and completely confidential. That your vote, there's no way we can go back and see your vote, but the system tabulates it and will give us the results when Catalina calls the end of the election. Just to give some background, and this system was selected by at least one other Civic that recommended it to us. So and then we did some test runs to make sure it worked as expected. So we went through a lot of effort to try and make this as fair and as equitable as we could to everybody. So that's just a little bit of background for people who want to know how we got to where we are tonight.
It is a smooth platform. I mean, click button, register, code in, vote out. It made it so simple. Thank you for doing the upfront work on the new platform.
Yeah, I'll commend a good chunk of the board that's here tonight has put a lot of time into organizing this. Of course, last year's election was much simpler through a basic voice acclamation. We did not have a contested election last year. So we wanted to make tonight as fair and easy as possible for members to vote. So I'm going to round back probably in about 15-20 minutes to put attention to anybody who hasn't received their ballot yet at this point. Basically, we'll keep rounding back to that as needed. So it sounds like the 3 we talked about went out, and I see a couple requests coming in from people who just joined into the meeting.
Yeah, can I get a clarification from Chip? Are you voting? You need 2 ballots, is that the question?
Where is this chat?
So this is Chip Ellis.
Oh, Chip Ellis. Yeah, that
Yes.
was.
Yeah, I think we're entitled to 2 ballots because we're a family and
Perfect.
family
So
membership. And I registered,
need-
it said to register twice, but I registered twice using the same email.
Okay,
So now I just sent you a second email address.
got it.
I
Perfect.
already voted on the 1 email address. Henry wants to vote on his second email address.
Fantastic, perfect, thank you. And yep, once Robert verifies all this, I think you are already verified. Just checking also with
Thanks,
Leanne.
Kelly. Thanks, Kelly.
Leanne's partner. Leanne, can you send me the last name?
Yes, it's John Dent, and my
Okay,
last name
perfect.
is Leanne Wagner.
Okay, great. And that is the email for John?
Yes, thank you.
Perfect, confirming. Thank you so much. It's
Thanks.
coming.
So we'll round back to this again later in the meeting. So we're actually going to move on to board business of the meeting. And again, that starts with the approval of the minutes. The minutes were distributed by Deb out to the board members. So I'll go ahead and motion that we approve the minutes from the November meeting of the board.
I'll second.
Great. All in favor?
Aye.
I'm not seeing it.
Aye.
Was that from a board member not seeing it, or probably not? Well, that would be a response. Any abstentions or no votes? No. Deb, do you mind taking that?
What's that?
Drew is taking
Drew's
notes.
doing it.
Oh, I apologize.
Yes,
Thank you.
It's difficult to multitask that way. No?
Yeah. The election headquarters here, the news network, your window here. Moving on, Deb, while you're on the spot, do you mind giving an update regarding cleanup day? Oh, sorry, I think you got jump.
Yes, as far as the cleanup day, we are moving along quickly and it's coming quickly, so that's all good. Just waiting to get to have the parking signs confirmed, and everything else we're moving along. I've asked the board members to help distribute the flyers and the door hangers. So I've had responses to that. If you haven't, if you could please respond, that would be great. And then I'll assign accordingly. If you have any preference as to which streets you manage, just let me know and I'll do my best to accommodate. So everything's looking good, and I'll keep you updated.
Deb, I got your email. I'll follow up with to get those, to get the parking signs. So
Yeah,
I saw the follow-up, so I'll get that done, work on that tonight.
Jonathan, how many are you ordering?
300. That's what I asked.
Perfect.
Was what I requested.
Perfect. Thank you.
Certainly.
So then Deb, I'll get the stickers ordered.
300, yep. Thank you,
Tammy.
Tammy.
Is in the works right now between Saval's office and Brian Sam's office. So that'll be nice. That's always a draw. It's always a separate draw from the cleanup day. So we, different points for that. Is Rick Spitzborg on the call tonight?
I am.
Hi. Sorry.
For some reason, my camera is not working. So I'm here. You just can't see me.
That's okay. I was hoping to get an update on the planting day you have planned for us.
Okay. The planting day is a week from Saturday. We are planting 14 trees at various locations throughout the neighborhood. They're all street trees. There are no yard trees. There are close to 17 people who are WashWest residents who have volunteered to participate in the tree planting. For those of you who are on the call, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. We couldn't expand the tree canopy in the neighborhood without your help. Just logistically, the trees are going to be picked up on Thursday. Bob and Casey are helping me go down to the Navy Yard and pick up the trees. We'll load them into the community gardens until Saturday morning, when those 17 people are divided into four teams, and they'll pick them up, and tools and equipment in hand, we'll be knocking on the doors of the property owners and say, come on out, we got our shovels. So we're looking forward to a successful day. Very excited. It's a high level number of volunteers. It's a high level number of trees. For citywide, it's not just us doing this, it's a citywide program. It's the highest number of trees ever planted on one planting day. So thank you to PHS for that. And we'll continue and continue and continue to grow the tree canopy in our neighborhood.
Thank you, Rick. Appreciate that. And I'll be out there helping out this time.
Yeah, looking forward to that.
Yeah. Catalina is on the phone, so I'm not going to call on her right now to talk about preservation. Marissa, I'm not sure if Genevieve is on the call right now. Would either of you like to give an update for the see faces in tandem, perhaps on WashWest Wednesdays?
So I'm kind of spearheading the WashWest Wednesdays this year, and Genevieve has actually done a lot of the work that she's carried over from last year. But every Wednesday, I think starting right after Thanksgiving, we're going to collaborate with the local businesses and restaurants in the area to have just a special time for people in the community to shop and support local businesses. And perhaps we're going to try to work out some discounts for dinners, either dine-in or takeaway. So yeah, Genevieve, I don't know if you want to add anything to that. We're going to also try to get some music in the park and really make it a special time to support our local businesses.
I mean, exactly. You know, we caught the Halloween event that was happening at Con Park. It was like rain delayed from Friday until Sunday. So you know what, I actually posted I'm on Blur, but it's like it's a waterproof paper. I did about 8 in that intersection, so I kind of caught all the corners. And then you know what, I have printed up like little half flyers to be of course my baby is like screaming the 1 minute I'm talking in this whole meeting.
It's humanizing.
Of course. And like the dog is like, oh, you're talking? Oh, I'm like, oh, everyone just calm down. So you know what? I will be covering like the coffee shops and stuff with these guys. But the nice thing is that this year we have a QR code on the bottom of the sheets. So when you hold your phone up to either the waterproof advertisement on the corner on the poles, like the bigger street poles, it links right to the survey so businesses can get involved. Thank you, sweetie. I'm like, close the door. But you know what? So Marissa actually has been like a really good spearheader, helping me like edit the canvas. And then she and I are going to help develop a marketing plan to get it out there on existing social media accounts or people that already cover events. But she's right. You know, last year we did luminaries, but the more we do, the more festive it is. So we're pulling ideas of like maybe adding like A-frames on the corners and having music in the park. So I think like as we pull those ideas together, we'll just ask the board, you know, like the okay on things to move forward with.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you both. And as far as the getting that posted to the website, I will of course be updating the website in the next couple of days with the new board members. So I'll take that opportunity to blast that across the webpage. And then of course we'll have dedicated e-posts and such for that. So
perfect.
Thank you.
And you know what? We've collected the email addresses for you to send the business owners the survey.
Awesome. Okay. Understood. Thank you.
Genevieve, also during cleanup day, we'll have a table. So that could be another nice opportunity to share information with people so we can have some flyers. That'll be
That's Saturday, December 4th?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, perfect.
And then Catalina, while you're up at bat, would you like to give an update on preservation?
Sure. So we have been talking about the work of preservation for a while. So just for those of you that may not be that familiar, we engaged in this conversation back in probably January, February, and we did a series of conversations with experts that were also recorded and shared via Facebook. The last one was in June, and so now we are looking at what are the next steps. So last week we met with the Philadelphia Historic Commission to talk about what are your next steps. They acknowledged that there was already a nomination submitted, but now needs to be updated. So there was a conversation, do we need to start from scratch? Where are we with this? You know, this is a 10-year-old nomination by now. So we definitely need to update the nomination and the information there. They mentioned that they may not have the capacity to do it themselves, but they committed to send us a list of items that they think we need to revisit and revise. So that will be the tool that we'll use to then get a quote and see how much that will be. And then we'll continue to engage the community and make sure that everybody's informed so that if we continue to move in that direction, then there's an opportunity for members to provide feedback. So stay tuned for more. This is where we are. We're waiting to hear from the commission at this point. And again, we'll keep everybody informed.
Thanks, Catalina. If there's no other business from the board on this sense, I will go ahead and move on to zoning. Given that zoning is usually the bulkier of the agenda items, I usually like to cover the others first. Anything from the board you'd like to bring up before we move on to zoning? That's a green light. Jonathan, would you take off zoning?
Certainly. So we heard 4 projects 2 weeks ago, and I'm going to kind of present from easy to hard in terms of what we have to do.
Jonathan, you cover your mic. I think it might be something.
Okay, is that better now? Can you hear me now? Sorry about that. We'll get a little closer. So the first project to take a vote on is 518 South 7th Street. This was an existing yoga studio. It's been in operation for a while, and she applied under the business license. The owner must have done something recently that triggered some type of issue with L&I, so she needed to apply for zoning to kind of correct the deficiency in the zoning of the business. It is a yoga studio. It's been there for a year. The owner presented her her way she works. It did not seem objectionable at all. The one thing that we will probably request on the proviso is that what she's specifically asking is for personal services. Yoga is a general thing. There's some personal services that we wouldn't want in the community, such as tattoo parlors and so forth. So what I am recommending, is non-opposition with personal services limited to a yoga studio or other exercise facility. So are there any questions on that one? So this is just a use change. It's an existing business. There's really no other effect.
I'll pick that up for a motion in a minute if there aren't any questions on that one. Anyone? There we go. So I'll go ahead and motion that we vote, motion that we are in non-opposition to the requested variance for the yoga studio on the ground floor. At address, Jonathan?
518 South 7th Street.
518 South 7th Street.
With a proviso limiting to the definition of personal services.
With a proviso limiting to a definition of personal services.
I'll second that, Neil.
Thank you. All in favor? Keep your hands up. Drew, let us know when. You're good.
Any, let me just check, any opposed?
That's an easier question.
All right, thank you.
And any abstentions? Great, thank you on that. Jonathan, take it away.
The second project to discuss is 1215 to 1217 Addison Walk. And this is only easy because we're not going to have a vote on it today. There were a lot of people who showed up for this project. We received a petition of 125 people who are against it. It's a vacant lot where the applicant is looking to, is suggesting provide 2 houses that would be 38 feet tall. And they need variances for the lot size and the yard depth. There were general oppositions to the design, the density, potential construction in general, and the overall massing of it. There was a lot of just general objection to the project. There's been a group of about 4 to 5 neighbors who've kind of formed a consortium, and they are going to meet with the applicant and the architect and WashWest for an informal meeting next week. Hopefully in that meeting, there's some type of advancement where both sides are satisfied that things are moving in that direction. If that is the case, then there will be another formal presentation at our zoning committee meeting 2 weeks from today. If at next week's meeting, it seems to not be going in the right direction, and there seems to either be a lot of change, well, one of 2 things would happen. If there seems to be no compromise possible, then we would leave it to the applicant to decide whether or not they're going to continue the process. Or if it seems like maybe they just need one more shot at it, then we would ask them to return in the December meeting. We would give them a full month to modify the design. At the meeting, the zoning attorney mentioned that they have a ZBA hearing in December. That date does not matter insofar as that if there's progress moving ahead, though we've asked that they go to the ZBA and continue the hearing until the neighbors and the Civic Association and the applicant hopefully come up with a solution that is agreeable to all parties. So that's how that one progressed. The next project was 337 to 41 South Broad Street. This is a Civic design review presentation. So this project has approved zoning, and the applicant was presenting to us for design consideration. The project is by Dranoff Properties. It's a 196-foot tall building. It has 91 units, 18-car parking, and 3,000 square feet of retail space. This project has been in front of the Civic Association. This is the 3rd time. Probably 4 years ago was when it was kind of the more significant presentation where they were going for a zoning ordinance that, zoning ordinance that allowed the project to happen. The committee is recommending the following changes. So, we had some concerns with the design. On the part that's facing Pine Street, unfortunately, there's a lot of the facade that isn't engaging with the pedestrian walkway, and based on the layout, it really can't be. So we're asking that they backlight the windows they're showing there at grade to provide some illumination, and also to possibly work with the University of Arts to display student artwork. We are suggesting that we did not like the red cast stone at the water table, that we suggest a red brick. We're asking them to provide as many plants and trees as possible. They have a lot of limitations for trees due to existing utilities, but they are going to provide planters. Planters aren't permanent, so it's not really part of the civic design review process, but we'll inform the civic design review that's something we want to incorporate. We want to incorporate additional bike racks. There's some details where the details are made out of fiberglass rather than stone. We're suggesting that in a historic neighborhood, rather than using fake details, it's cost prohibitive, maybe to simplify the detail and make them out of stone or cast stone. And then finally, the eastern facade is kind of a back of house facade. It has 2 garage doors. It has lots of vents and louvers. It hadn't really been articulated. And we suggested that they really need to take a look the color palette and the detailing, so it doesn't seem like a leftover facade. On the Symphony House along Pine Street, they actually do this pretty well, where there's 2 loading docks and louvers that incorporate into the architecture, so we know that it's something that they can achieve. So this will be the list of items that we are going to list as suggestions at the Civic Design Review. I don't know if this is necessarily a board vote or not, since it's just a letter of suggestion, but if we want to take the suggestion that we will enter all these items as the WashWest recommendation to the Civic Design Review, I'm fine with that as a motion.
Jonathan, question.
Yes.
Is there any opposition from neighbors to this project?
I've not heard one opposition to the project.
Okay, thank you. And so now the other second question is regarding 1215, 1217 Addison. There are a couple comments there. I believe the statement was made that it was a vacant lot and looks like it's not. Can we ask for clarification, please?
Well, one thing, and it's a bigger issue. We have a zoning committee meeting for a reason, which is really the proper time to have this discussion. This project is going to be discussed at length later. I'll reach out to this. I'll reach out and find out the description, and we can bring it up to the meeting. But I think we want to kind of keep this meeting, for the way that we've typically followed it.
Got it. Thank you.
Keeping it with the Civic Design Review project is do we want to have a motion to accept the comments, or is it just
John, before we do, I have a question.
Yes.
And I really appreciate the Dranoff Properties presentation to the community. I mean, they brought everybody out and they were pretty clear, and I thought they really listened to us, and the comments from the community and the board were good. So my question is, have you received any feedback from them with respect?
Yes. So just so you know, the comments that I read to you, the comments on the shadow lit boxes, the University of Arts, the reddish cast stone, the planters, the additional trees, and the bike racks were specifically addressed to them. And then I follow up with a response saying that I didn't like the fake detailing, and that we wanted more articulation of the or better articulation of the east facade.
Thank you.
Before a motion on that, were there any additional comments on that? I saw the note from Genevieve in the messages there that mentioned something more specific regarding the planters. Rather, how specific was the conversation about the planters?
So we can have that discussion. One of the tricky things about planters with Civic Design Review is they aren't permanent pieces of the design. So it's not really something in the purview of the Planning Commission to discuss. But what we've suggested is, in the absence of trees, or in the absence of the number of trees that we'd like, we are strongly suggesting that they put planters. We can certainly approach them as to what the design is. We would want them to be stone. We would want them to look significant in keeping with the design of the building. These shouldn't just be like some flower pots on the side. So, but we can certainly get some more definition of what that is.
Yeah, I'm always so weary of when someone's like, "Oh, make it look nice." I'm like, define nice.
Understood. Yeah.
All righty. So any other comments on that from the board or otherwise? All right, so I will motion that we accept the letter which is being sent to Civic Design Review on behalf of the Civic regarding the Dranoff property at Garden Pine.
And seconding.
All in favor of that? Keep your hands up for Drew here.
Anyone opposed? All right, got it. Thank you.
And the fourth project is, to me, the most difficult one, although it's kind of the simplest one. This is for 736 Manning Street. This is an existing single-family residence where the applicant is looking to put in a ground floor dentist office and have an apartment building on the top 2 floors. The refusal is for the use where dental office is prohibited in this zoning district. This project is a difficult one for me because we're really kind of on the fence on it. So Manning Street, if you aren't aware of it, it's right in the kind of heart of sort of the hospital zone in Jefferson, and there are probably 5 single family houses on the block, and the rest are medical related. So at first glance, it would seem that adding a dentist's office to the ground floor isn't objectionable, given the high amount of medical use on the street. However, both of the neighbors that have come out on the street, 2 of them have spoken strongly against it, to the point where one has actually hired an attorney to kind of, represent it. And the applicant is willing to engage, would be willing to have a proviso limiting the dentist's office, limiting to the dentist's office to a certain size, limiting to the use. And they're trying to do everything they can to make certain this seems like a good business. I would say that the owners presenting the dentist's office seemed like great owners. There was no question of the character of the people presenting whatsoever. But we've always maintained psychiatric, thank you, Elizabeth, it was a psychiatric office. I'm sorry, I read dental on the zoning application. Thank you. We've always maintained that, immediate neighbors, especially with strong objections, we listen to them. And so, and we didn't necessarily vote on it, but I would state that, it was kind of split down the middle of how we were going to, what we recommended. So I guess the zoning chair am recommending opposition. And I'm saying it's marginal. Like I'm really in the middle on this one. And I would also put out there that there is the option to not take a position. So that is a choice that we could also put out to the ZBA on this one. And so I would, and I'm sure there's going to be deliberation on this. I know Marissa might want to speak, but she was the one who believes that it should occur. There are some others, and again, this is a really marginal one for me. And part of, and also the other thing that's tricky is it is just a small, it is one small house and kind of a block. I don't want to take like the kind of the size of the project shouldn't necessarily be consideration on why we take this more or less seriously. So it's a tough one, but again, it's a marginal recommendation of opposition, but I would welcome discussion, please.
So to recap that, and I'll hand this up to Marissa for her comments on this because she was involved in this discussion from the zoning committee side. We have the option of not participating in this. A non-objection is in favor, non-participation. Or those are the 2 options here, basically.
It is one thing, but first, and in all cases, I will put kind of the pros and cons of this, so that the ZBA and Councilman Squilla, reads that this is, wasn't like a seriously for it or seriously against it.
So now we have the committee recommendation, which is right there in the middle. So, or in objection, actually. So Marissa, take it away, if you like.
So I walk by this street every day taking my kids to McCall, and it is very, very busy with traffic going into the Farm Journal building because there is a parking garage directly across the street from this property. So what is being proposed here is to have a psychiatrist or psychologist office on the ground floor and then apartments on the 2nd floor. I imagine that the amount of traffic that would be going in and out of this house for these services would be akin to you having a neighbor over every single day for coffee, and also the same amount that you would be entering and leaving your home. I think that this building has been on the market for a very long time, and this couple wants to buy it and put it to good use. I don't think that it's a really easy sell because it is directly across the street from the underground parking garage for the Farm Journal building, as well as across the street from where people are valeting their cars and being dropped off or picked up from the building. I guess my biggest concern here is that this is the second time in the matter of 2 months that we have been deliberating over a woman-owned business coming into this community. And to me, that's not a great look for WashWest. And I know that this might not be a popular opinion amongst some people around here, but for me, that's really important that a woman wants to come in and start a small business here. And again, the amount of traffic that will be coming in and out of this property is not something that is going to really make a big difference on that street. Thanks.
And before Drew or Leanne speak, I'd also one other comment. This is Society Hill will also be, this is a dual RCO meeting. Society Hill will also have their opinion. I spoke with them at length and they're leaving it to us. So they also don't have a strong opinion and will be following our lead.
That's unexpected.
Very unexpected, very unexpected, but that's where they are. And again, they agree with kind of all the comments on both sides, the ones that Marissa presented, the ones that I'm presenting. That's where they are.
Leanne, go ahead.
Drew, I think you were ahead of me if you want to go first.
I thought I got to pick. I'm kidding. Amongst yourselves.
Thank you, Leanne. I'm not sure it matters, and I cannot disagree with anything Marissa said or anything Jonathan said. I probably come a little more firmly to in opposition to this project, as much as I respect immensely everything Marissa has said and others. But there's three things at least that bring me down on the side of opposition. One is it's another single family home that would go by the wayside. And while it's small and it's already on a street that has a lot of medical and commercial activity, I mean, you know, we take all these little projects and we say, well, it's just one little house. But, you know, before you know it, there's been 10 of them or something. And I just feel like that the fact that it's, you know, it is a single family home is worth protecting to some extent. The second point is that as wonderful as the applicant seems to be, and they made a great presentation and they seem like nice people, the best that we could tell is they bought it knowing the risk, knowing that they need variances, and it's sort of like, I don't want to say I want to make a statement, but I do want to, I guess, make a statement that you can't just buy something in WashWest and say, well, yeah, well, you need a variance, but don't worry about that. Go ahead, pay for it, you'll get it, and you can put in what you want. And I think we need to review these things carefully. And then the last thing is that the neighbors, few as they are, have come out very strongly against it. And I do feel like we're here to represent our neighbors and our neighborhood. So, you know, I could probably go on with a few, but it's not to say the arguments on the other side are not good. But my feeling would be that opposition to this particular request, you know, would be well-founded. Thank you.
Thanks, Drew. Leanne.
Thank you. Well, I will say I lived on this block for a year and a half or more. We were one of the only residents on the block who utilized the space in the back. Someone said that there were single family homes. Those people are not seen on that block. The only people that were seen were me and my two boys, and the two boys who had the basketball court just a little further east. There is so much traffic. Cars were constantly parked behind our space. I think that my husband, I brought it up, I attended the last zoning meeting and I brought it up to my husband and we were both completely convinced that this was an appropriate use because we've shopped for houses while we were living there. We bought a house, we shopped for houses while we were renting in that block. And the whole time we were like, who in the world is going to buy this house? Because it's an awful place to live. It gets zero sunlight. So I felt like it was a great opportunity to activate a really dead corner otherwise. So I would be in very strong support and very close connection to this property in support of not opposing it.
Thanks, Leanne. Do we have any other board member comments? And then Jonathan,
I do have a question.
Yeah, go ahead, Rick.
Jonathan, just for clarification, you said it was your recommendation. Is that the same as the zoning committee's recommendation?
Well, I mean, ultimately, the zoning committee's recommendation is there are as many people against it as for it. And ultimately, as a committee chair, I believe I need to come up with a recommendation. And I'm saying it's a marginal, for myself, opposition.
So is it, just to be clear, usually the committee has a recommendation which you put forward, but in this case, it's a split situation.
It's a recommendation. I mean, I still believe that we have a recommendation to make. And again,
just as our letter to the ZBA indicates the votes in opposition or support of something, I think Jonathan's trying to make an indication here of it being a marginal vote in opposition to the variance requested. Do we have any other comments from board members? And then Jonathan, is this an appropriate venue for community comment or is that the zoning meeting?
Again, it's the zoning meeting. I mean, and the issue is, just to be clear, if we want to open this up to community comment, that's fine.
Yes.
We've always told the applicants they don't need to be here. So if we're going to open this up to community comment, then we should tell the applicants that they should be here or their attorney should be here because they have the right to answer these questions.
Yeah.
And, and sometimes, when it's some projects like last month where 250 South 11th was literally being deliberated like an hour prior to the meeting, of course we had, continued it, but that's not the case here.
Given that I'm going to ask for other board comment on this project. Are there any comments before we call for a motion on this? Before I call for the motion. Deb, Catalina, anyone about to do it? And
I'll be as Wembley on this. I'm making a recommendation, but I'm not making a motion. So someone else, I'm not going to make the motion on this.
So my motion is not my vote, correct, Jonathan?
Correct.
So I motion that the Civic Association oppose the requested variance for the psychiatrist's office. Excuse me, I don't want to botch up the motion here. What's the address?
736 Manning.
I motion that the board object to the variance at 736 Manning Street. Can I get a second for that?
You need a second now to bring it to the floor.
I'll second that. Thank you, Neil.
All right, technically discussion now. We've had our discussion. Any other points? So all in favor of the objection to the requested variance on Manning Street? All right, Drew, if you'll tabulate that.
Sorry, Neil, can you repeat that?
This is a vote all in favor of objecting to the requested variance for the office on Manning Street.
So we got Drew, Jonathan, Rick, Tammy, and Richard.
Catalina.
And Catalina. I lost my, and Deb, okay.
And Richard Lee.
Thank you. Yep, I got Richard. Did I miss anyone? How about, well, Neil, I'll let you call it.
Yep, good. And again, this is a board vote for the members. We certainly appreciate the input here.
Drew, I'm gonna abstain from the vote.
Okay,
Yeah.
So that's Bob as an abstention here, all in opposition to objecting the variance.
Leanne, Neil, Casey, Marissa.
And Sucrit.
Again, because this was so close, I mean, I have no problem sharing the letter with anyone who wants to see it, make certain that everyone, that this was a pretty marginal vote.
What was the vote? Sorry, I was looking.
Looks like it was 7-4.
Understood, thank you.
Actually, 7-5 plus 1 abstention.
7-5.
I have an opposition to the motion, which means your non-opposition for the variance is Leanne, Casey, Marissa, Neil, and Sucrit.
Yes.
So
And
we have 7.
7 in favor of the objection. Yes.
Correct.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, everybody.
Drew, is that the information you need? Are you good now?
I'm good.
Thank you. I appreciate that. You know, votes like this are the difficult ones, but I'm glad if we take it slowly, we can get it right. And speaking of votes, I think this is the part where I'll explain now. I explained most of the election here. Catalina, I'm going to go back to you in a second. So tonight we had almost exclusive vote via our digital polling via election runner. And we had 1 absentee ballot requested, which was received in hand. Catalina has processed that absentee ballot, has it in hand, and she's put it into the software as an anonymous vote via the person who submitted it. Catalina, add to that if you'd like. And then I guess we'll share the results.
Yeah, I don't have to add anything. We know that 94 people registered to vote, 7 did not submit their vote. So we have a 93% participation rate tonight.
Excellent.
And that was how many people voted in total?
So 94 minus 7.
So you have 93 votes cast.
No, we had
94 minus 7.
94 minus 7.
81.
Oh, okay.
87, 87.
87, thank you. 87 casted their vote. We did calculate a percentage, which is 92%.
93%, got it.
So if you're comfortable, go ahead and however you'd like, you can announce it. Either way, I'd like to see a screen share at some point, but you know, take it from here as far as that goes.
Thank you. Yes, I know that there has been a hand raised for a while now. I just want to acknowledge that. Zach, do you have a question or a comment?
Oh, no, that was my
Nothing.
mistake.
Okay, good,
Thank you.
good. We just wanted to make sure. Okay, so I'm happy to share my screen if we are ready for results.
You might as well share your screen. That's the best way to show it. It shows the percentage of everybody, or it will.
Perfect. So
And,
let me know when you are ready.
I think we're ready. Catalina.
So these are the results. Is it big enough? You need me to make it bigger?
I think
we can expand it on our own screens, yeah.
Yeah. So we have Joe Papalardo received 21% of the votes, 77. Patrick, I'm going to butcher your last name unless you help me here.
Quay
is my last name.
Quay, perfect. So 19%, 69 votes, yeah. Sukrit Goswami, 18%, 67 votes. Katie Dillon Lowe, 18%, 65 votes. Jonathan Bro, 14%, 50 votes. And Elizabeth Armour, 10%, 35 votes.
All right, thank you for reading that for the record. Drew, will you please note this? We will, of course, have records of this election through here. And again, this includes the 1 absentee ballot was requested. So we will basically include this documentation announcing the results of the election out to the membership. So in these terms, the three positions which were terming out this year would go to Joe, Patrick, and Sucrete. And then the vacancies by duration would then the longest given to Katie and the shortest given to Jonathan. Are there any questions about
Well,
that?
they're all the same because there were five open seats, so there is no, everybody is equal.
They're all full terms.
Oh,
they're all full terms. You misstated there, I believe.
I apologize.
There are 5 seats up for
at the last meeting.
there are 5 seats up and there are 5 candidates.
You're right. So I apologize. So although that was technically correct, the 2 vacancies were termed out. Is that correct?
Yeah, everybody's elected for everybody that was elected. The 5 top candidates all are elected for an equal 3-year term.
Understood. All right, thank you, Bob.
Yeah, it's just not to contradict you, but just to make it clear, everybody, there were 5 seats up for the election and 5 seats elected, and they're all 3-year terms and they're all equal in this case under the bylaws. And so the next avenue for the newly constituted board will be to elect a new president at the next board meeting, and that will be a board-only election to elect new officers. And so the new members will need to get together, discuss. People will need to nominate themselves or a candidate, and then there will be a board election at the December meeting. That's the way it's always been done. And then at that point, I will no longer be treasurer. You'll no longer be president, and so forth, unless we're renominated and stay on. But that'll be for the next board of directors to decide.
I would like to be the first person to congratulate all the new members of the board. Welcome. And I'm sure the entire community looks forward to your participation.
And I think we can add, Rick, this is the largest turnout we've had in at least, you've got a longer institutional memory than I do, but at least 6 years. This is the largest turnout that we've had in the most attended at a meeting for a board meeting that I can recall in quite a long time as well.
I agree. It was lovely seeing you all last night. And again, congratulations everyone for your positions on the board. I look forward to, yeah, go ahead, Drew. Sorry.
I definitely want to express my congratulations as well. And I look forward to working with the new board. I am, not to further confuse things, but Bob, I'm not sure that what you said is exactly correct. I mean, with respect to the elections, I think if you look at Article 8.7 of the bylaws, it says in the event any of the vacant positions are for unexpired terms, and we had 3 expired terms and 2 vacant but unexpired terms, then the candidates receiving higher number of votes shall fill the vacant positions carrying the longer terms.
They're all 3-year terms. So they were vacancies that were ending this year.
Yeah, so basically
so all 5 seats.
Judy and Carl, their terms. Yeah.
Their terms were up here anyways, this year anyways.
That was my
mistake.
confusion.
Oh,
yeah. Judy.
Okay, so we got 5. So there's in effect 3 classes. There's 15 board seats, 5 seats in a class, 3-year terms, and all 5 of these happen to be in the same class.
Who is that? Exactly.
Okay, thank you.
Which was convenient on their part.
No corporate governance issues there.
What was that?
No corporate governance issues there.
Yes. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. Again, we'll be announcing these results through our channels online, e-post, Facebook, and such. That'll probably be tomorrow, so I can enjoy the rest of my evening and put something together that's a little more picturesque than just a blast. But we'll figure that out with Catalina and Bob and everyone. Thank you all for attending. Look forward to seeing you at our next.
You need a motion to end the meeting, Neil.
I'll motion that we conclude the meeting so it does not go on for another month in the background.
I second the motion.
And now
Yay.
we, all those, thank you, Neil.
Aye, thank you, Neil.
Bye. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you all.
Congratulations, everyone.
Thank you.
Congratulations, yes.